Hey all, welcome to this next episode of Cut the Small Talk. I am stoked for today's conversation because I'll be talking to a friend, someone I've known since high school, but I think it's safe to say that we didn't really start having in-depth conversations until recently, a little over 10 years later, but better late than never. So today I'm speaking to my friend Hector. We went to high school together and have a decent number of mutual friends, but I've definitely felt a special connection with you because you seem to be very into the arts and creative expression. So I reached out to you because I wanted to have this conversation since you write poetry and you post it online in your downtime when you're not working or doing other things. And I think your writing is really beautiful. So I wanted to know more about it and what inspires you and why you write. So I'm excited to get into all of that with you today. So thank you for joining me on my podcast.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I think there's a lot of great writers out there on Instagram, and especially in our community too that we know. So I'm like very flattered to be here, and
Oh,
yeah, so thanks.
of course. Okay, so to start things off, I'd love you to share a little bit of your background. We could go anywhere with this. We could talk about family, friends, whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing that separates me from a lot of people and that throws people off, especially when they find out that I am like very intimately, I have a great relationship with poetry, is I was in the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
Before that, I went to school, I worked construction. So I guess uh, a lot of people think I'd be too manly to write poetry, but it's like the
Mm,
core of my being.
mm,
But I served Marine Corps a good 4 years. I had a great time. I was in an infantry unit, went all over the place, wrote every second of it, and I'm glad
mm.
I did because it's all well documented.
Yeah,
And now I'm back here, and I'm using Uncle Sam's money to go to school for biology.
that's
So
awesome.
that's life right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you start writing
Hmm.
in when you were in the Marines, or was it before that?
No, so it's a tough question to think like when I started. Documented, like the first poem I have, because I have quite a few poetry books, like is from July 2013. But I do
Mm.
remember writing before that. I think first poem, ironically enough, was about Hanif. That's
Really?
one of the first poem I wrote. Yeah, we lived together for about a year because he had, some family issues and got kicked out. And my mom, being the best ever, took him in and he lived with me and it was great. It was after high school, we worked, we gave her the money she needed, blah, blah, blah. But he had two ferrets. Yeah, but he had these two ferrets, Oscar and Nikita, and he loved them.
What?
And we would do this thing where, because we were like servers, or I served and he worked late. And if he got home at like 2 a.m., he would just come over. I'd give him like the Xbox controller, we'd play video games till like 4 a.m. in silence. And one day we were playing and he noticed that one of his ferrets died, like right then and there.
Oh my
So he like
God.
ran over. Yeah, and he was like calling her name. It's like Nikita, and he just started bawling, like bawling. And I've never seen that before. And I remember the next day I wrote a poem about him, and I think that was like the most emotional I've ever seen a man in my life, probably.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I wrote a poem about him and how much, I don't know, just how we felt and that I loved him. But back then things were really different, and I was like, this is kind of gay.
That you wrote it?
Like that's how,
Yeah.
yeah, like, that I wrote about a man. Because back then, it was
Uh,
different than it was now. Especially
yeah.
like, the people hung out with and
Yeah.
like just everything. It wasn't like quite like how open and free it is now.
Yeah.
And I threw it away.
No
Yeah, I
way.
threw away the poem after I wrote it. Yeah, so
Holy
I don't even
shit.
have it still. Yeah. I told him about it though after I threw it away the next day. I never even got to show him. And
Oh,
I think about that all the time. And I wish I knew what I wrote, but I think that's
damn.
like the oldest one I can. Yeah.
How did he feel about the fact
Mm,
that you wrote something for him or for that experience?
he's my brother. Yeah, nah, honey. Yeah, that's my brother. I think he was mourning and he appreciated it. at the time. So
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
yeah,
That's crazy that you like threw it away and felt that initial
yeah,
reaction of like, oh, I can't believe I'm
yeah.
doing
It's really
this.
what makes me feel. Yeah, it's really makes me feel how like different or how long we've come as a society.
Yes.
Really,
Wow.
because like I said, it was I can't even imagine feeling that 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 impulse to do that anymore. So
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah.
Okay, so this
Hmm.
might be a loaded question, but why do you write?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think first things first, like not just me. I think we're all really emotional. But I was reading this book. It's Homeland Elegy is really good. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to
I
you
think
before,
so.
but they talk about Freud and his dreams, and how there's almost 300,000 words in the dictionary, and our dreams, and like to be fluent, about 10,000, unless you're a genius, like 20,000, and Freud thought that our dreams were kind of like all of these feelings we had that we didn't have the words for. You know,
Mm,
I think writing to me is very much like that. You
mm,
know, so I really do take out time out of my day. I just feel like I have something inside me or in my chest, and I can't put my finger on it. Or even if I end up writing about something that's has nothing to do with what I think I'm feeling, it just feels so good to kind of investigate and write
mm.
about it. You know, so.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like a lot of people can relate to having these like feelings in their body that they can't express, but I think not everyone takes the time to express it or like knows how to express it. So I always thought it's really beautiful when people have some sort of outlet.
Yeah. And just like yesterday, I went to go see a friend that I haven't seen in like 4 years. And in the 4 years, this person got married, moved to
Mm.
Brooklyn, and like started her own business. And I saw her for the first time I was there, and I bought some of her stuff, and I sat there and I talked to her. And I left that like cafe, and I was like, I felt great. Like I felt something. And on the train back ride, like the train ride back, I just started writing, and I wrote about how it must be able to create something and sell it on a shelf and put a numeric
Um,
value to it, and it kind of connected to like all these things that she's done in 4 years, and like those are things that I didn't know I was feeling until I wrote it down.
that's
So
awesome. It's a way to like memorialize these things that you experience too. That won't just have to be a memory that you like store in your brain. You like put it down on paper and can look back on it. Um, do you have a topic that you like to write about the most?
nah, I don't think so. I think when I was younger I wrote about myself a lot, and I think I
Really?
specifically wrote about love a lot. Yeah.
Mm,
But as at least for the last like I don't know, like 6 years, I really just I like to write in the perspective of other people.
hmm.
I mean, I'll write about myself still, but um, I could write about anything. I can't think. I've written about, just for fun, like literally, like going to the bathroom, or like I talked about yesterday, like being someone else and selling things, or when I was in London, I wrote about this woman, this mother in the train. Like I just write about people. So I guess that's one.
I love that.
Yeah,
I really love that.
yeah. Empathy, it's I can't just write about myself all day, as self-centered as I am.
I notice you pair your poetry with photos. I'd love to know why you do that. And I was always curious about the process. I know you have friends that like to take photos. Like, do you plan out these sessions beforehand, or are you just like, oh, one day when you're really feeling like taking a picture, you just randomly text each other and like, let's do a photo shoot?
So I hate photos is a funny thing about like I hate
Really?
being in photos.
What? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
I despise it. I'm not a big fan. And then ironically enough, like all the people I love taking photos. But yeah, I usually do pair my poetry to photos. I know, I forget the term for it. Uh, ekphrastic. I think that's the
Mm,
name of that type of writing when you write to art. And I
mm,
know the Greeks used to do it back in the day,
mm.
but it's used more in that sense that they're describing an art, and they're bringing life, so they're very detailed. It's almost like narrative. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it kind of works the other way around. I write very ambiguous and I write
Mm.
freestyle. I don't rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
I like to make it seem like you don't know what I'm talking about, because I think we're all self-centered and we all like to make things about ourselves anyway. So I love hearing what people think, of it
Mm.
without knowing. So to me, my photos, the photos I pair it with, really more bring my words to life because they're just so ambiguous than the opposite way. So I think that's why I like doing it. And all the photos I use are from people that I love. Hanif,
Mm.
Marielle, a lot of people in my life have taken photos, and I find some and they're beautiful and they inspire me, and I write about it. And that's just, it's fun that way. It's like a picture prompt.
Yeah. I think that's really cool
Yeah.
that people that you love take those pictures. Um, I definitely also am one of those people that like thinks that they know exactly what you're thinking when you write. When I read
Yeah.
a poem, I'm
Yeah.
like, I definitely know what they're talking about. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you're so right. Like we just think about our own experiences and like map it to what we know.
Yeah. And I love it too because for the people that care enough to read it, they always ask and they always have these like assumptions of what it was, and I love
Mm,
hearing it. I love hearing what they think it is, and
yeah.
to me most of the time it's much more beautiful than what I'm actually talking about, and I love that. um, I you know I wish more people came up to me asking or assuming what I was writing about, because it really says a lot about the person in good ways.
Ooh, yeah.
So yeah, you picked one in particular that you wrote a little comment about, and I'm
Yeah.
very excited to talk about that because, like I said, it's going to be a good example of one of those things where I write about something and you thought it was something else.
Just I feel like that's what art is. Like you have different interpretations of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love it. If you guessed what I wrote, then I'd be sad, honestly, because I
I love
specifically
that.
write so nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I
So
love that. Mm. So I also wanted to touch on the topic of vulnerability because I think, you share your art with public because you post it on Instagram. So I was wondering if you ever felt anxious before you posted something.
yeah, that's a real tough question, and I
Mm.
had to really dig deep for that because at first I thought the reason I wrote ambiguous to begin with was my anxiety to be judged.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
still do, I think, get anxiety when I post, which is why I probably post less. Um,
Mm.
but I still post. I think if you look at my page, you'll see like some of my first poetries had hashtags. Then
Yeah.
somewhere along the line over the last couple of years, they stopped having hashtags because I felt
Mm.
like I was kind of like betraying my purpose. I felt like I'm not writing for
Wow.
these people, I'm writing for myself.
Wow.
So you'll see that in the last a year or two. And then that kind of really helped me push more poetry out. Um, but yeah, I can get it. Social media is kind of like a double-edged sword. I love showing my stuff, but at the end of the day, it's for me. It's always for me. So that's why I was really glad kind of you picked me to do this, because I feel like there are a lot of poets out there that post their stuff so much more than I do. But I write on a weekly basis and you would never know. And it's really rare these days to kind of have a hobby that you don't show off on
Yeah.
social media. So I really do have a love for the craft. I respect it
Wow.
for sure.
I really
Yeah.
love that you shared that because, yeah, I think there is this weird thing about having something you're passionate about. And I don't want to say like needing validation, but like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, it's artful to also have your page and like put it out there, but
Yeah,
there is this
absolutely.
like other layer of like, I want other people to, I don't know, to get it or appreciate it. So it is, yeah, it's definitely interesting that you said that. Um, and you kind of answered my next question about like taking breaks. I guess do you think that wanting it to really be for you and not for the world is why you take breaks, or do you think there are other reasons too?
Absolutely. I think some other reasons might be like I don't know, just normal stuff. I'm busy,
Yeah.
or if I ever feel off
Mm,
about myself or anything, I feel like I just write less. So that's usually a telltale sign that
mm,
something's not right. I need to change something. Um, But back to the thing, it's funny. I told Hanif I was doing this.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna keep this in or not. But Hanif is like one of my best friends, and he
Mm-hmm.
writes and he posts all the time. I mean, he's a true artist. I love
Mm-hmm.
his stuff. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I was like, man, I really feel like she should be interviewing you because you have all this content that these people kind of delve into. And that's when he told me, he's like, nah, he's like, the fact that you do it and don't show it off is what makes
Mm.
your poetry, the love for your poetry is so valid. And I was like, oh, thanks,
Ooh.
man. I'm making sure to fucking mention that.
Ooh.
So that's where that comes from. But
Wow.
I mean, it's double-edged sword. I know people do, and I'm glad that they do because I always read it. I mean, this podcast is your art, and I love it.
Mm.
I last time I met you, like I'm sure I proved that I've listened to like 75% of your
Yeah,
stuff.
that
Like I
was
love
really
it. I
nice.
love the yeah, the consistency of it. Anything that people do just because they love it, I'm a fan. So
Oh, it's really nice to hear.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I guess this is kind of related, but I did want to talk about performing because I know you performed your poetry once at least. Um, and I'm really
yeah.
sad that I didn't get to see it. Um, but I'd love for you like to describe how that felt for you.
Yeah, so totally different because it went against everything I've been talking about this whole time. It rhymed. I don't write rhyming poems, it rhymed. It was straight to the point. It was personal.
Yeah.
Um, but Hanif made an event for spoken word, and that's my boy, and I love poetry. And I was like, I'm gonna do it because I've written a lot of spoken word, but I've never performed. So I did, and I'd do it for you for this at the end if you want. See
Mm.
how it comes out. I haven't rehearsed it
Mm.
at all since I performed it, but it was great. Before I went up, I really thought I hope it's more strangers than people I know
Yeah.
because it was really personal, and I think a lot of people that I know didn't even know about it. It was that personal, you
Wow.
know. But I dug deep, and it was great. I got a great reaction from the people. It came out good. So I hope everybody does it. And I didn't write it until after I committed. So
Oh
you got
shit.
to commit first
Damn.
sometimes. I know you talked about that on one of your podcasts too.
I
You're just like,
did.
sometimes you just got to put it out in the world. Like, I'm going to do this, and then you do it. It was like one of those moments. And when I heard you say that, I was like, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Oh,
I promised Neef, I was like, I'm going to do that. And I finished it like 4 days before I performed. So,
Lord Jesus, that's scary, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so
But
cool.
good. It was great. Hmm.
All right. So now for the fun part. I'd love to break down some of your poetry that might feel a little intense.
Yeah. Not all of it's intense. It
Okay.
just kind of sounds intense.
So are the titles what you put first next to your name? Are those titles?
Yeah, the titles are what I put first next to the name. And I
Oh.
usually try to make it seem like something relative to the photo,
Mm-hmm.
just because if people don't want to read the poetry, they at least get the feel I get from the photo. You know?
Ooh, love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read them. Um, and
Okay.
then maybe tell you what I thought it was probably very wrong.
Okay.
So the first one is, or do you want to read them?
No, I would love if you did. I'd
Okay.
fucking love that.
Okay. So the first one is as close as it gets to forever or infinity in parentheses. So you wrote, you show us every bit of you through videos and angles of your choosing, through words on pages you've created. You make us feel as if we know you. If you find my eyes searching for yours, know this. My interest is not from the way you have brazenly broadcasted yourself to the world, but because when I finally found myself next to you, I noticed you've been lying to us all. So I love
Yeah.
this.
It's a relevant one talking about social media and all that stuff.
So relevant. So
Yeah.
when I read this, what I felt was this is probably really relatable for a lot of people. Um, I feel like we curate a version of ourselves for the outside world. And I think it's interesting that even though we know that we're all curating, we like fall for this false idea that people really are the way they present themselves online. Sometimes that could lead to unhealthy comparisons. Sometimes it's like, oh, I want to be like them, like in a good way. But either way, like we know that people are doing this like uh, with something in mind, like they want to present themselves in a certain way, but that's not usually the whole truth of it. But I thought it was beautiful how you kind of twisted that and like you made the deception something that kind of drew you to the muse in this person. So those are my random thoughts about this poem.
Hmm.
Yeah, what was your
Uh, that's pretty spot on,
yeah?
honestly. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, I like this one too because I think yeah, it's good and it's about social media, you
Mhm.
know. But yeah, I was this is a while ago. And sometimes that's a fun thing about writing, but also like the double-edged sword. But yeah, I was interested in the girl, and she had like this presence on social media, and I watched it, and I watched so much of it, and it kind of like was what I was introduced to before I really got to know her,
Mm.
and I thought that's why I'd like her, and then. Eventually when I got next to her, I found myself liking her for all the reasons that she didn't post, like
Ooh.
um, yeah, it was uh, I liked it made me like motivate me to get to know people more, not assume, not to judge, and at the end of the day, all of us really post our best selves on social media. So it's a good reminder that you know everybody still has this other mask, and it's well worth investigating.
I love that. I love it so much.
Yeah,
I feel like even
you're
when
one
we
for one
post,
right now.
yeah. Well, I'm probably gonna like mess up the rest of them. um, yeah, I feel like sometimes even when we like post our like not so best selves, we do it in a way that makes it look good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
that's
true. Like I
interesting.
said, we're pretty self-centered beings. So
We are.
yeah.
Okay. So honestly, this next one, I couldn't really describe. Like I couldn't see where your head was when you wrote this. But I still loved
Hmm.
the words. So this
Yeah.
one is in light of some recent good news, I wanted to thank you. And you wrote, time becomes tangible, completes metamorphosis onto the center of my palm, into memories that can be hung up and separated by colors noted with martyrization, colors that pull a string from cheek to cheek. Um, yeah, honestly, I couldn't find the words to describe what you were probably thinking. So, yeah, I would love to get some background on the picture that you chose, first of all. And then I am curious to know what your headspace was for this one.
Yeah. So the picture I chose is my old closet when I was in the Marine Corps.
Mm,
So it's a dress uniform, the dress blues, my digis, the regular uniform that you wear, fatigues as civilians call it. Another dress uniform that I wore to France, but it's in the bag.
mm,
And then a couple more dress uniforms that we wear for different occasions, whether it be inspections or Fridays we wear Charlie's, blah, blah, blah. We had our whole system. So this was uh, probably a few months after I got out of the Marine Corps. And it was when I got into school for
mm,
PACE, for biology.
mm-hmm.
And I always tell people like the Marine Corps was easy to me in the sense that I could wake up early at 5 a.m. and work out and go through my work day, work out again, take care of the Marines and do my job. Like that was easier to me than opening up a book and reading it.
Really?
So yeah, so I got accepted to school finally. And the last words I told my team, that I was working with, was that when I left home to go to the Marine Corps, I told my family that I was going to make them proud, you know.
Mm,
And then as I was leaving the Marine Corps to join the civilian life, I told my Marines that I promised that I was getting out for a good reason because I loved
oh,
what I did and I'd like to believe that I was fucking good at it. And I was like, what I do outside from here is to make you proud,
wow.
So time becomes tangible, you know. It flew by my time in Marine Corps, complete metamorphosis onto the center of your palm. That was my decision to leave something that I love to do,
Wow.
And some memories that could be hung up and separated. So the
Mm.
photos are, my uniforms,
Mhm.
and they're all separated, and those are my memories. By colors noted with modernization. So being like, Marines are martyrs, they die for
Yeah.
what they believe in, you know. And no matter what anybody thinks, it's for a good reason, no matter what
Mm.
the Marine or these soldiers and military does, these actions, these kids, these people, their intentions are good, you know. Um, and colors that pull a string from cheek to cheek, meaning that these memories make me smile, these
Wow.
colors, seeing this picture. Yeah, so yeah, in light of some good news, the good news is that hey, I got into a school, into a program that I didn't think I should have got into, and
Wow.
I wanted to thank them, so I wrote this. Yeah.
Ugh, I love hearing the backstory. It's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah,
It's so much like compacted in these like 5 lines. That's amazing.
yeah. I try my. I was having this conversation the other day with I think Marielle, and it was like, writing taught me kind of to like shut the fuck up. Because my first couple poems, like for the first couple of years, it was like pages and pages of just feelings. And as I got older, I just started condensing them more and more, and trying to just kind of like fit more quality than quantity,
Mm,
or stop trying to get people to figure out what it was that I was feeling. Just like write it in words that sounded beautiful to me, and things like this come out sometimes. So
yeah. I think that's why I love your poetry so much. Like it I can tell that there's thought, a lot of thought behind it. Um and I just feel like you so perfectly pick like words to make things concise but still meaningful. I can really tell that from what you put out.
yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. You picked
Okay.
good ones. You picked ones that, yeah.
Thanks. They're all good.
Sly.
Um, okay, so here's the last one that I chose. Um, it's called It's Like Staring at a Closed Door. So you wrote, inside, the blankets are left pushed to the side, seemingly disobeying gravity, never to be put back exactly how they were. Ambitions left uneaten at the dinner table. Emptiness now takes form, invisible, but you can feel its hands. Thick and callous, they push you at the shoulder, shoving you, reminding you it's empty, reminding you it's not there. It's like all we can do is stare, watching your ambitions rot. You deserve a table, the white tablecloth, the cup laid upside down, the lemon bitter, salt piled on your plate. So,
Um, Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. What you think?
well, for me, this was intense. I I might have totally gotten this all wrong, but when I read this, I thought to how I feel like we all have things that we aspire to like be and achieve, um, but don't sometimes, or if we do, it's not in the time frame that we expected to do so. And when I read these words, I felt like all of my goals that like I haven't actually achieved came to life. Um, but I don't know. That's what I thought. So I'd love to know what was
Yeah.
going through your
And
head when you wrote it.
it's good. What you said is right, just in a different context. So
Mm,
it's an intense poem, and actually, I love these type of poems because a lot of my poems have nothing to do with me, and it's really just me being in these shoes of somebody else. So I wrote this a day after I found out that one of my cousins got shot and killed in the Bronx. But
wow.
I didn't really know my cousin like that. His name was Edward de Jesus, and I went to the wake and everything. But I knew his mother, or should I say, I knew his grandmother more than him.
Yeah.
Um, she's been in my life for a long time, and I remember hearing about it, and I didn't feel anything at first, And then on the way to the gym, like I said, I didn't even really know my cousin like that. You know, like I knew he existed. And on the way home to the gym, I just started crying, and I couldn't
Shit.
figure out what it was that I felt. And I just had to, stop and write something down. And this is what I wrote.
Wow.
So inside the blankets are left pushed to the side, like my man was just going out to throw out the garbage, left the
Mm.
bed. The seemingly disobeying gravity just kind of emphasizes or makes like these blankets not being made kind of more vivid,
Mm-hmm.
like he never got to finish that. It's just something we do every day.
Oh.
Ambitions left uneaten at the dinner table. Emptiness takes form, invisible. This is really in the perspective of his family, his mother, you know, uh, like where something missing is bigger than something being there. Emptiness now takes form. It's invisible, but it's huge, and you can feel its hands. It's thick and callous, and it pushes you at the shoulder. It shoves you, and it reminds you that it's not there. It reminds you that it's empty. you know and all that you can do is stare, and you watch this person that existed a few hours ago. You watch the ambitions rot.
Oh.
And in the Marine Corps, for the Marine Corps birthday, every year, November 10th, Semper Fidelis, we have a big birthday ball. It's
Mm-hmm.
a big celebration, and we have a ceremony at the beginning, and then we party and we dance and we get drunk and we're in our uniforms. It's a great fucking time. We
Uh-huh.
always keep one table empty, and it has empty seats, an empty table. It's a white tablecloth.
Wow.
The plate is full with bread and salt for the tears of the loved ones, and lemon because it's a bitter fate.
Mm.
The cup is upside down to say that they're not there. So that was kind of like the motivation for the last part. You
Mm.
deserve a table. I want to say, even though like he was in the military, that's something he wanted to do. By the way, he lost a lot of weight and he started boxing and he was going to join the army. And I was like, you deserve a table. The white tablecloth, the cup laid upside down, the lemon bitter, and salt piled on your plate. So yeah,
Wow. What a beautiful story and a way to respect him. That's
yeah,
oh my God. Yeah, no, now knowing that, that's crazy. It's beautiful.
yeah. These poems, especially, I really try to write so nobody knows, because it's just for me personally, it's a weird thing to mourn in social media, and it really takes away from a lot of
Mm.
it. But that's just me. I know a lot of people do, and it makes them feel better. Congrats, and like that's not sarcastic. Like
Mm.
you're a completely different person than me.
Yeah.
This is just me. But yeah, I
Yeah.
like that you picked this. I appreciate you because intensity is exactly what made it come to life. So
Yeah. I I think even without knowing the context, one can feel the intensity. So it's very special to know what the context is for sure.
yeah,
Mm.
thanks for
Wow.
picking it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think we're reaching the end. Like, if you'd like to share something else, I'm totally open to that.
Yeah, I'll share this one spoken word if you want to add it,
Oh
which you
my
don't
God,
have to, because I
yes.
know you like to keep these things short.
Oh my God, I'd love.
And if you don't, I swear on all that I love that I will not be offended.
No, I'm positive I'd want to
Um,
share.
no, no, this is more for you than for. Alright, you ready?
Yes.
Cool. um, this is called "Money Is the Only God That I've Seen." Uh, and it's the only one I performed. I was thinking about doing something I haven't performed, but then I wouldn't have anything to perform, so
Mm.
anything new. So you'll get this. Uh, I was taught Our Father when I was 6 years old. I remember going to church and reading love thy father," and I would sit and get told that this was the only way to cleanse the sin of my soul. When I went out in public, I saw people deep in the chase, and then to discover the golden rule was actually fake. The only golden people praised was this man named Saxon Wells, so far gone from all the Bible smack. And I tried to look deep through the scripture screen, but till today, money's the only God that I've seen. Money taught me about karma and greed, and history taught me of all its prophecies, how it whipped people's backs and drove them off their land. But aside from the books, I saw what money did firsthand. You see, back in the day, it was just me, my mom, and my sis. On the third floor, just a TV, a single mom and mattress. Not a him or some money to give her a hand. There was no babysitter during work. It was just a TV, man. We had Spider-Man and Gargoyles. That was watching us, fam. And around the third grade, I finally met him, the man. You know, money. It's the only God that I've seen. So we leave to New Jersey from Rhode Island, and every day from then on, I was taught to say thank you to both Ma and Pa. Even though my mom also worked the 9 to 5 and came home and cooked up the main dish with the sides, and she fucking did it well, by the way. Mom was cooking tip top. And after we all ate, I had to make sure to first say thanks, pops, because well, he paid the bills, he helped, these house, these lights, why else? And with his bills and his lights, he beat my ass and his wife. And after each fight, I'd sit my ass down and thank his ass for this life. And you want to know why? It's because of money. It's the only God that I've seen. But props to him. Money did try to teach me, show me, praise me, raise me with no words, no presents. Just accept these presents, the real family contribution, right? Fuck the words and fuck the how-tos. That's what money wanted to do. It wanted to teach you that love was all about gold, about the price tag from when it was sold. That's how it chooses you and how it molds. And that's what money will tell you as soon as you grow, that this is the most important lesson in life. And I won't lie, I admit that sometimes I can't help but agree. So I play the game, get on my knees and pray for honey, because I realize that the rich pay less with more money. They pay less for this car, staying for 2 hours than my mother with her Chevy and her high APR. But you got to play the game smart, get your credit score higher. You see, money sees you struggling, it'll only make it harder. You see, money is the only God that I've seen, and I'd close my eyes to his lessons and try to hide behind these bed sheets. But I saw that it takes and it takes, and it started teaching me to hate and to hate. And this great gate that I craved, it wasn't showing me love. And this late plate that it served me, it was just serving me from the same hate the streets taught me to shove and to shove the little man and shove the motherfucker above. Fuck this dude over for the money, but make sure to wear gloves so that they don't find your ass. These are lessons taught from above. Just do it for the money. You're just trying to be seen. Just do it for the honey. It's all part of the machine. And you see a little more, and that could have been me. But my mama raised me different. She raised me to be king. So this whole time, I thought money was the only God that I'd seen, but it turns out that God was standing right in front of me. It was my mother. That's right. God's a woman. I know it deep in my core. It's the woman that give life, and they give more and then more. And then the men that they birth will still call them a whore for doing the same shit that they be doing much more. And through all that shit, they'll still sit back and endure. My mom is my God, full of this fiery vigor. I mean, who else can make a kingdom from a mattress on the floor and cook a gourmet dish from the dirt of the poor? Preaching, love your father as he's beating her ass. There's no priest, pastor, father that could show me that class. That's just mama. Lessons truer than mass. And let me tell you, from nothing, she created my ass. She taught me that love is so much harder to find than money's sin. Real love that in my life, I've only learned from women. So I try to love real. I know all will follow in line. Love like a woman, you'll see, you'll be swimming in brine that tastes like money, righteous goodness that's sweeter than wine. So now when I see money and I start thinking it's divine, before the hate, before it takes, and before I let it make me, I think of my mom, my real God, and then I make my money. Way too long.
Oh my God, no. Snaps.
Yeah.
Shit, dude. Oh, that was.
Wow, I wish I didn't fuck that up so much.
Oh my God, no. That was amazing. I literally have tears. That's so vulnerable. Oh my God.
That's definitely the word for it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. There's so many things. Like I know as someone who like tries to write, I know how hard it is, first of all, to like rhyme. So like being able to convey the emotion plus like the technicality of it and like rhyming is, I'm like floored. And the fact that like you told me that you wrote it like just a couple of days before you performed it, again, what the fuck. But that, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. Like that is very personal.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, so beautiful. I loved
You
it.
deserve it. You're like, yeah, you care. I loved like, it's hard for me to feel like I love telling somebody that, but you deserve it because you pay attention,
Oh,
and I feel like you'd appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And yeah, I also don't like writing rhymes usually, so I'm surprised that came out. I think rhyming is a little corny, but it worked out in that sense.
yeah, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course,
Hmm.
of course.
Well, I think that's a wrap, dude.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm probably gonna be a little late to jamming, but for good reason.
Yeah, man, this meant so much to me. I'm so thankful for you and for this conversation. Thank you so much.
Same. You too. Like I said, I appreciate you. I'm flattered. If anybody out there listen to this, I hope you write something beautiful. I really do. My favorite writers are the people that barely write and they show me something. I'm like, man, this is amazing. It's like you're keeping this pent up inside you this whole time. Like, tell me more. Your perspective is just like beautiful. Uh, I just imagine like writing something, think you can't write and having that extra motivation, it always comes out beautiful. I love
Yeah.
it, seriously. Whoever you are listening, write something down. And if you do write, go perform something.
Mm.
If not, just keep to yourself. Who cares? But yeah, thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much.